I hate to break the fishing news up, Yaremchuk, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down, Yaremchuk.
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Welcome in episode 192 of the Real Life Podcast. I'm Tyler Yaremchuk. It's a short staff today. Wanye has important real business meetings. Bagged Milk's laptop broke, so it's myself, Chalmers, and Jay. Boys, how's it going?
Yo, it's going great.
Good, man. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm happy. We got a lot of really positive feedback on our interview with Brett Kissel, which was a ton of fun. If you're listening to this podcast and haven't listened to the Kissel interview, it's a long one, but it's worth it. That dude loves his hockey. And he was a ton of fun to chat to. Like, I was thinking about it. He's now on my list of people I would love to sit down with and just watch an Oilers game. Because he's fired up, he's opinionated, he knows his stuff.
I got a question about Brett Kissel for you guys.
All right.
Did he follow you guys all back on Instagram and Twitter?
No. Just Jay.
Oh, he followed me.
Just Jay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, I thought we're like going to be best friends, and then all of a sudden, nothing.
Well, some of us are best friends with Brett Kissel, and some of us aren't. And that's just a reality some of you have to live with.
I scared him away with asking him to do a country podcast with me.
Yeah, he was like, I cannot risk this at all.
I know.
You should let me open for you on your next tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we really get rolling here, I should let you all know that this podcast is brought to you by the fine folks at Japa Machinery. They just added 51 and 48 double drum rollers and combo rollers. Perfect for smaller asphalt jobs. They do it all. If it's a big job, they got you covered. Small job, they got you covered. Try them out on Rental of Demo. Find out more about these products, about everything, by visiting them online, japamachinery.com. Great interview with Brett Kissel. We got another one coming up this Thursday with another musician. I don't know if I want to tease that yet. I want to make sure it's like 110% sure before we do, but I'm pretty sure we'll have him this Thursday. So another good interview with another Oilers fan who's in the music industry as well. I don't know if I'm the only one who did this. Like, I'm not a huge country music guy, but I sat down on Saturday and I just hit shuffle on Brett Kissel's playlist. Man, that guy's good. That guy got me listening to country and being like, I think I can get on board with this.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
I went back and listened to some of the songs he told me about, and he lied to say if I didn't have a fire on Saturday and bumped Galveston a couple times. That's a good track.
There's a lot to get to in the NHL, actually, which is kind of a bit of a rare thing over the last few months. But did you guys watch the draft lottery on Friday night?
I did not. I was at a thing, and I say that because I wasn't too excited to be there, so it was a thing. But my phone was blowing up with just updates about, basically I'm being told that we won the lottery. Like, the Oilers won the lottery. I'm just getting inundated with texts with that. So it was very interesting to kind of see the reaction and the flood of text messages from someone not seeing it live and being hit with it about the perception of everything. So what a wild night. It's the most NHL thing that could happen, where a team to be determined wins the draft lottery.
What? Okay, I'll give you two guesses as to whether or not I watched the draft lottery, and the first one doesn't count.
I'm going to say you didn't watch it? Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to ask you another question. Do you think I even knew it was Friday?
No, probably not. I don't think you knew what was going on. I don't think you even knew that a random team could win it.
No, I didn't. I knew it was coming up because I was seeing like tweets that just said like we had 11% to get Connor and we have 12.5 to get Alex Lafreniere, and so there's a chance. And I was just like, okay, that's a passing thought, but I didn't know it was actually coming on Friday. So I need somebody to explain this to me. How does a team to be determined win the draft lottery?
So I explained this on Oilers Nation Radio on Friday, but the way it works is because we already know who those 7 teams who aren't in the play-in series are, their team, they were there, they have their lottery odds. For the sake of, I don't know, TV numbers, peace of mind, the NHL wanted to do the lottery now instead of waiting. But it would have been unfair to completely overhaul the lottery system and not allow those teams that are in play-in series to not have a chance. Because if you lose the play-in series, so if the Oilers lose to Chicago, they are not going to be technically considered a playoff team. So if they're not going to be a playoff team, based on history, they should have a chance at the lottery. So instead of, waiting until the play-in series is over, the NHL assigned, team A, B, C, D, E, F, and G spots in the lottery. And those spots are undetermined right now. What happened was team B and their 5% chance of picking first overall, well, it happened. So now what's going to happen is once the play-in series is done, there's going to be a second lottery where those 8 teams that get eliminated will all have an equal chance of now getting the first overall pick. I mean, there was a 50% chance that none of this would have happened and none of those teams from down there would have crept into the top 3 and it wouldn't have really mattered at the end of it. But yeah, Lottery 2.0 is coming, and if the Oilers lose to Chicago, they'll have a 12.5% chance of picking first overall.
That's so bizarre.
It's fucked, yeah.
You explain it great because I get it now, and I never, ever even thought about it before. But man alive, well, that's a lot of pressure to get this fucking hockey going. What's the new news on that? Because I haven't been following that. Where are we at?
Okay, I'll get to that in a second, but the question I want to float out to you, so the Oilers taking on the Blackhawks in the qualifying round, what would you rather have? Would you rather have the Oilers pick first overall or make it to the second round of the play-in series?
Make it to the second round.
Really?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, we have to stop relying on first round picks, right? We now have to start thinking that the window is there and have to start acting as if and thinking as if that we've got a chance to go forward. So that's what we got to be cheering for. If for some reason we get eliminated and that happens by default or happens as a result, we win the lottery again and pick first, yeah, I'll be happy. But that's not the outcome I'm cheering for right now. I think we have a chance to go deep. And that's where all of our attention needs to be focused. It was so funny on Twitter when everyone was just going off. I guess it's just like my text messages I was getting, going off as if we've won the lottery. And I'm like, why are we even saying that right now? We're are we just trying to totally not jinx a deep playoff run by saying that? I don't know. But I'm more focused on the playoff run. This team needs playoff experience. As much as I'd want Alexis Lafreniere on our team, I'm very happy and content with a Connor McDavid and a Leon Draisaitl and a Nuge, and adding some pieces, role pieces around that. So let's focus on trying to win the playoffs now.
Oh, Chalmers, you're muted.
Oh,
there you go.
I didn't even know I touched it. In your hypothetical situation, did you say that we could get to the second round or win the chance to have it? Because even if you said that we would 100%, if we didn't get to the second round, that we have the first pick, if it was a guarantee, I still wouldn't say that. Because
really,
to be honest with you, I don't know much about the kid's game other than the fact that in the World Juniors he played great. But the drama he brought during that was that little tiny bit of smoke that I needed to see to know that in 5 years, he's going to be I just can see something happen where he turns into somebody that I very much dislike. So I'd rather him.
Why? What was it?
I don't know.
His drama.
Expand on that, Chalmers.
His drama was that he played hurt.
Yeah, but he made it. I don't know. What was the very first thing he did, though? He did something else.
They had a bit of a feud with the Russians going or whatever throughout the whole tournament, but I mean, that's not exactly anything new.
Oh, yeah. Was that the helmet thing?
Yeah.
Okay. See,
no, you're confusing. No, you're confusing with Barrett Hayton, I think. Yeah, you're confusing with Hayton, who is Canada's captain.
I am confusing with him. I don't want that guy.
Okay, well, we're not getting Barrett Hayton, first of all. So, for me in the hypothetical, if you gave me the chance to pull the strings or I knew exactly what was going to happen, and it was either the Oilers make the second round and get bounced, or they pick first overall, and those are my two options. Even if it was make the third round, even if it was make the conference finals and get bounced, I want the first overall pick. Adding a guy like Alexis Lafreniere, who is going to jump into the NHL he's going to be an immediate top 6 winger. And he's going to be on his entry-level contract, so he's dirt cheap. And you can put him next to McDavid, and for the next 3 years, the Oilers will have just an insanely scary top 6, and whatever happens after that when you got to pay him is whatever. But you're going to have that insanely scary top 6, and all I'm sacrificing is their playoff chances in a year where there's no fans in the stands. It won't be the same as before, and you could argue that is playoff experience this year, is it still playoff experience? Like, is it that same thing? I don't think it is. And for me personally, I'll give up a run of watching the Oilers on TV with no fans in the stands for 3 years of being a Stanley Cup contender with Alexei. I mean, I think they already are Cup contenders, but if you add this kid, like, you're a scary team, and it'll be with fans in attendance when it matters a little bit more. To me, I would take the first overall pick if you gave me the choice over anything short of a Stanley Cup.
Man, if we got him and got another first round pick, and in 3, 4, 5 years from now don't have any cup, with the amount of first round picks we've had in the last 10 years, that would be a laughing stock. It would be bad.
Like, Yaremchuk, you say a lot of good points there, but it's all from the voice of hindsight. Like, the only way to find out if we're going to win the cup is to beat Chicago, right? Like, we have to go through that step. So either right now you're saying I want to lose to Chicago, or I want to try to win the cup. What is it?
Yeah, and that's the hypothetical part of it, right? But like, I'm not going to sit there and root for the Oilers to lose to Chicago. It'll just be a nice consolation prize if they happen to flame out, to go, hey, 12.5% chance you're getting a near generational talent. But I want them to go on a run just as bad as anyone here, but I'm also just kind of recognizing that it's a COVID year. I think there's going to be an asterisk next to whoever wins. And you know what? The idea of adding a superstar talent to this lineup again is pretty appetizing.
I think my view towards this is probably somewhat of, the kid donut test, where you put a donut in front of the kid and you say, wait 15 minutes. If you don't eat that donut, you can have 2. And most kids fail that test. Well, this is like, I have missed hockey so much that I want to watch it, that I'm more excited about the short-term gain of just having hockey right now than the long-term gain of not having hockey, but having really good hockey next year, and then the next year, right? Like, this, what COVID's done to me with sports is just, I want it now, And I think that's where I come from, not knowing anything about Lafreniere, obviously, as you could tell by getting them mixed up with the captain there. I feel like maybe it's my impatience that just, I don't care about Lafreniere. I want hockey right now, and I want to run. I want to have, parties in August. I want to have parties going like a cup run.
Because we still have to win the lottery.
Yeah,
we still have to win the lottery.
But I expected it too. Like, I expected to have a playoff run. So the fact that it's been taken away from me, every single day that I think hockey's coming back, it's just, I want it more, and I want it more. So,
you know what, Chalmers? Connor McDavid wants you to have a playoff run, and he's going to see to it. He's going to see to it.
I just want to know what he's doing right now, because I see on Instagram that, how long until potentially these guys would come back to, because like they said, some of the buildings were opening up, right?
Yeah.
Where guys could come and start working out. Well, I still see him on a boat in Muskoka, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I bet you he's training though, like crazy, and skating. Just let him do his thing, and don't worry about Connor McDavid.
Trust me, I'm not worried about him. But I just wonder what, like, the indecisiveness about what's happening. I just God, that must.
He's fine. He's got his machine there. He will come the day before or 2 days before training camp. I wouldn't be. What did you hear?
I heard the Coyotes plan to have like their entire roster back early in July, and I think everyone needs to be back by July 15th when Phase 3 is supposed to start.
But they said July 10th is training camp starting.
I think July 10 or July 15, one of the two. But
if I were the Oilers, I would straight up get the whole team to come back right now. I would unleash a person with COVID into the room. I would give them all COVID. I'd let them all go home. I'd let them all get better, so that we don't have to worry about our star player getting COVID in the bubble.
And then your star player gets it really bad and has like a horrible lung condition that makes him retire, and you lose Leon Draisaitl at the age of 24.
Chances are, look at how many MLB players and how many basketball players are getting it right now. It's insane. And the fact of the matter is somebody in the NHL is going to get it. There's a chance somebody on our own team gets it. And I don't even want to think about what happens then. It's so fun.
Well, okay, let's dig into that then, because 58 minutes ago, the NHL released a statement and said, as of Monday, June 29th, the NHL has had in excess of 250 players report to club training and practice facilities for optional participation. Though they have there have been over 1,400 COVID tests administered to that group of players, and the tests have brought back 15 players confirmed positive. And then that was before June 8th. As of June 8th to June 29th, another 11 on top of that. So the NHL, even though it hasn't been reported too much, has had 26 players now test positive for COVID.
So what I would like to know, go ahead.
11
What's
of
the
them
percentage
during
of that?
this.
How many? So that's 25 altogether. And how many players are they have back?
They said in excess of 250. So even if you just call it 250, that's 10%.
Yeah, that's high.
That's nuts.
But that's 11 players of that 250 since those 250 started reporting to the building. So it's less, isn't it?
No, he's saying that at 250 was started at the testing, and they found 14.
Mm-hmm.
Since they found the 14, they found 11 more, making it a total of 25.
26.
Yeah.
It's 15 plus 11.
26.
Now.
Oh, 15 plus 11. Sorry.
Okay, well, whatever. Doesn't matter. What I would like to know is, where are these players located?
Okay, wait, hold up. Bob McKenzie clarified it. There
Tampa
were 15 players.
Arizona.
15 players in the league camp that tested positive. 11 players not a part of phase 2 and were not using team training facilities. Another 11 tested positive. So 15 under team control, 11 out on their own.
So what I'd like to know is where these people are, because we know a lot of players in Tampa did, and we know Florida is like going through the roof. I'd love to know how many players in Texas and how many players we know Austin Matthews in Arizona. That's what I'd love to know, the percentage of that 25 or 26 if they came from those really hotspot areas. Because what this reaffirms is no. I just want to know that. What this reaffirms is these guys got to get into this bubble sooner rather than later, because if you're letting them report to the facilities but also still kind of interact in society, and if they're in a society that's got a lot of spread going, then that risk just gets greater and greater. The quicker we can get into this bubble and try to contain it, the better chance we have. Because now, we're like, with them being out in the wild like they are, they're exposed.
Okay, but what you're also saying is, my biggest fear is that you have a team and they're in game 2 of a 7-game series, and one player on the team gets it and spreads it to 5 more, because you're saying that these contained units are getting it. It's not like one guy in every city. It's like 6 in Tampa and like 6 in Phoenix. Well, the problem is one team gets 5-6 players that get it because one guy comes in with it. What does that team do for game 3? They have to sit those guys all out 14 days. Mm-hmm. Basically, you just go, okay, well, I guess we lost this series. We can't even dress enough players.
That's
why you got to get in the bubble. That's why you got to get in the bubble, though. Right now, you're saying
that was my point. Get everybody
in there. But they're not in a
bubble.
They're not in a bubble right now.
They're allowed to go wherever they want, live their lives.
They're allowed to do whatever they want.
Facilities.
And now they can go into the team facility as well. So they can be that guy that goes and gets it, walks into the facility, and spreads it.
You have to think that if you've reported to your team, that your team has given you a protocol which is going to mimic a bubble. I mean, there is absolutely no way that if I had a guy coming in and I was the Boston Bruins and I had these 10 guys coming in, that I just would, have them coming into the facility, leaving, and allowed to go to P.F. Chang's for dinner that night. Like, they're
just testing them like crazy. Now, the question we need to know answer is, when they get tested, how quickly do they get the results?
Well, there's rapid tests that are 45 minutes.
So how reliable are they, though, right?
They have a 20% false negative. And so what they do then is they send that exact same sample away, and you get very accurate results within 3 to 4 days, depending on where you are.
You got to think the teams would have, they'd have a little bit more streamlined process, because the protocol is you get tested before you come into the facility, and you can only walk in if you're negative.
Well, I would assume so. I mean, that would be, if you can't exactly test a guy and then just have him sit and wait for 2-3 days. I mean, they've got to be having the rapid 45-minute test.
Oh, for sure. I would assume they are, and I bet you they'd have access to getting results quicker than kind of say like us going to get tested.
Yeah, I keep going back to exactly what Chalmers said, and the whole idea of what happens if because I think as much as you want to make this bubble as tight as possible, there's still going to be chefs that aren't isolating, right? There's still going to be security guards and all that stuff. People who aren't, who are doing their best, but are still driving home at the end of the night and seeing their, if they have a partner or kids or anything like that. Like, there's still a chance that COVID gets into this bubble. And I'd love to know what the NHL is talking about behind the scenes right now in terms of what happens if before Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final, if we get to that point, what would happen if 8 players on one team test positive?
You're down 3-0 in your series, and maybe you throw a COVID towel into the other team's dressing room.
Yeah, anything for the cup.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see, but I just know that at some point I will put my personal guarantee on it that in this playoff run, a team is decimated by it and loses or is basically forced to withdraw due to this.
I think that's a very, very real possibility. I said this last week a few times on the radio, and I had people being like, oh yeah, and what if the roof collapses at the rink, and stop dealing in all these insane hypotheticals. And it's like,
that is not an insane hypothetical.
It's fucking very realistic.
it's like the most realistic thing.
But that's why you can't have a hub city like Vegas, because it just enhances the risk tremendously. I don't know what crazy person thinks that you can create a bubble in Vegas when Vegas is fully operational right now.
You can create a hub city anywhere, though. Like the places that have hotels where you can contain them. Like, I'm telling you, the chefs that go outside of this bubble and come back in to cook dinner the next day, they're going to be forced to adhere to the same protocols as Connor McDavid is going to.
100%.
So, no matter where the fuck these people are, the reason you're going to a place that's like, what I'm assuming is their thought is, let's go to a place with the least amount of active cases. Therefore, that's the least amount of people that are spreading it. And I don't know what the stats on Vegas are. I do know what the stats in Edmonton are. And as much as I just, like I've argued before, maybe Edmonton as a hub city isn't, all this beautiful rainbow stuff that it's cracked up to be. I still think right here is the best place. We've handled it the best. We've got the hotels around. And, as long as people adhere to the bubble, we have the best chance of having
the math is on your side. And that's the only thing that should be driving the decision.
Yeah.
But it's not. And at some point along the way here, the conversation went from where could we get this to be the safest place possible to, all right, where do our TV partners want? Where do the players want to be? Where will the players have most fun? What's going to be best for the money? What city's going to give us free hotels? Like at some point, the whole thing fucking flipped, and I don't know when it was, but safety's not the priority right now. I don't think the NHL. If the NHL comes out and says player safety is our number one priority, they're liars.
It's going to be Toronto and Vegas. It's already a foregone conclusion.
Well, I mean, last weekend it was a foregone conclusion that it was Vegas and Vancouver. And then what happened? Vancouver started getting real strict, or their government got real strict on what the testing would be and what the safety protocols would be. And the NHL kind of backed up and went, whoa, yeah, looks like we're going to go somewhere else. See ya. Right.
But that also tells me the NHL is going to, the season is going to come back as well. Like there's a good and bad view to that. But I'm just like, that tells me the NHL is just going to steamroll through this and the season's coming back. But yeah,
I think that's their plan, is to just put the blinders on and if you get a positive test, 14 days, cross yourself, pray to whatever that there's not a massive outbreak among 6-7 teams, and just roll right through this thing. I think that's honestly their plan. But
they've been able to pull it off in Bundesliga, and EPL's fired back up.
Yeah, but those countries weren't as bad as places like Vegas or Florida, right? I still
100%.
So it's just so hard to tell right now.
I don't think I don't know the stats on this, but why are countries like Germany handling it so much better? Is it because their economy just was in such better shape that it didn't it wasn't forced to reopen? You know what I mean?
I have no
obviously
clue.
everything that's opening, and the reason that they're even talking about this, everything is money driven. And if in Germany they just kind of have this little bubble already of a country that's handling it really well, maybe money isn't the main priority, and maybe people are adhering to the social distancing and not going out, and they're happier at home.
Yeah, but it'd probably be more just how government jumping in, issuing protocols, and the population adhering to those protocols. And I think, in Germany, I think they all kind of went along with it, and they were one of the quick first European countries to kind of start instituting their reopening out of all the European countries. So yeah, there's a lot of variables at play to kind of make it work. And I think, we've done a decent enough job up here. So it should warrant, just like I said, it should be the science and the math that drives the decision. I know there's money at play. It's still going to unlock that money because it's all about eyeballs on television. Really, at the end of the day, I guess a lot of this TV crew might live in Toronto, but at the same time, you don't want them living. They need to be in the bubble. Every person in this, orchestra needs to be in the bubble. So it doesn't matter where it's played.
I don't know if you're going to get that no matter where you go. I don't think.
I know.
So.
I know. I think I'm speaking from common sense, but I know it won't go that way.
Yeah, who knows? What's the other hot button topics we got today?
Well, I want to share this with you. Major League Baseball has figured their shit out, sort of, or just put a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound here and decided they're going to play the season. And already today, in the last hour and a half, 3 players have already said they won't be playing. Mike Leake, relief pitcher, has said he will not accept his $5 million salary. He's giving it back, and he's not going to play. Ryan Zimmerman, due to make north of $10 million. Granted, these would have been prorated, but Ryan Zimmerman not going to play for the defending champion Nats. I believe the Nationals also had a relief pitcher say, I am not going to play this season. So 3 players have already officially withdrawn themselves from the season. When it comes to hockey, Ryan Zimmerman cited the fact that he has 3 young children. One's a newborn. His wife is at risk. He said he's not risking it. When it comes to even the Oilers, Matt Benning, congratulations to Matt Benning and his family on the new baby, but he just had a newborn baby. Is Matt Benning going to go play in this thing? What about the players who, a lot of them, try to time their pregnancies so that their wives can give birth in the summer when they're home to be around, help out, experience all of it? That happens a lot. Okay, well, what's going to happen to the guy whose wife is due in the middle of August? Is he going to play? So I wonder how many NHLers will just kind of sit there and go, this isn't for me. I'm sorry. I'd love to help generate the revenue for everyone once again and do my part, but I'm not risking it. I wonder how many there will be. What would your guys' take be if tomorrow Matt Benning, and I'm just using him as an example because it's at the top of my head now, but if a player like Matt Benning came out and said, I'm done. I'm not going to play this year. See you all in January or whenever the next season begins. What would your take be on that?
You can't fault, he's entitled to make that decision. But what do I want him dressed and playing for the Oilers? Yes. But I have to respect someone who makes that decision. But I would be fuck.
My initial reaction would be that I'd be annoyed, that I'd be pissed off, that one player saying that, maybe 2, maybe 3 starts a domino effect and we lose what we've wanted for so long, and that is the sport to come back. But at the same time, I don't know, because I don't know what I would do. I'm not the one that's going to make up the reasoning of, look, you're a professional athlete and you make millions of dollars, get out there and play. I hate that. Yeah, I hate it too. I don't like it because you're not treating these people with they put themselves in a position where they are afforded the right to play a game for a lot of money, but they're also afforded the right to do what's best for their family. And, as much as I want them to come back, I would respect his decision. I would respect it. If it was pretty much anything, if he had a grandmother that had an immune deficiency and just couldn't risk it. And so I would respect that. Now, when it comes to the baseball players, I'm not surprised that 3 of them came out. It's been a pretty tumultuous time for those guys and the owners. And, I was kind of aware of the fact that it seemed like the owners had been stalling and the commissioner had been stalling. And I pretty much found out that he had the right in the last CBA to mandate an emergency season, which was around 50 to 52 games, right?
Yeah.
And so, I believe that that they weren't exactly,
they weren't negotiating in good faith. Yeah.
No, and to make that come back, and I think that as many players are going to use that as I'm not feeling safe about this. I don't want to come back to my family. I think a lot of them are if they choose to. I would understand why. It's that they're just going to say, fuck these owners. We're on the heels of another CBA in 2021. That season's very much in jeopardy after the way this whole thing went out. And, like maybe these guys are, not coming back for that reason. I think in hockey, it's going to be a little bit harder to just kind of say, I think that some guys, even though they might not say that, there's just that feeling of team in hockey where you're like, you got to do it for the boy. Like, I'll bet you half of them come back and don't want to, and don't say anything. It'll take somebody with some real balls to say, I'm not coming back. I don't feel safe. And, I'm definitely not going to be getting mad at them if they do that.
Well, I know there's so many variables at play here. Like, you're right. Like, if they make that decision, that's fine. But there's a severe concern about the health of the league and future salary caps and escrow. So, like, there's also a unity on the player side, to be like, well, shit, like, we've got to play because we've got to, this is what's going to do best for the league and for all the players in terms of not having to reduce the amount they have to pay into escrow. Like, there's so many moving parts into getting this back to normal, and weighing on making a decision like that when you're thinking like, well, shit, like, am I letting my brothers down for the ones that are on the other side of the decision?
That's more why I think guys would be pressured to play. They're not worried about what the Brads and the Chads think. They're more probably worried about what their union and what their fellow players think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, though, when it comes to, like, even a guy like Devin Dubnyk, who's been pretty vocal through all this, like, I think there would be a pretty big tolerance within the union, though, of players who would just kind of be like, we get it. Like, we understand why you're sitting out. Yeah. And for the 22-year-old who, has a girlfriend but no kids or is single or whatever, those guys, I think where you'd see the beef is if, again, just using the Oilers as an example, if a guy like Tyler Ennis said, ooh, you know what? I'm a free agent next summer, and I don't want to get COVID and have some lung thing and have it hurt my free agent value. I'm just going to sit this little playoff out to make sure I don't get hurt, don't get sick, and I'll sign as a free agent somewhere next year. Because, I mean, I've heard rumblings of that in the NBA where some pending free agents have kind of gone,
oh, yeah,
ooh, I don't know about that. And I think in hockey, like, especially in a sport like hockey where it's like, do it all for the team, sacrifice for the team, I think you'd maybe have some beefs going if guys started sitting out and just said, hey, it's because I'm a free agent and meh.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. If a guy did that in Edmonton too,
oh yeah,
I hate to see the 70% of the population that is just going to shit on this guy. Like, I'm definitely not going to be one of them. I know that.
The Washington Nationals GM released a statement saying he's 100% behind any players who don't want to return, including the two today, Joe Ross and Ryan Zimmerman, who said they're not. So, I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of that. I don't think teams want to put themselves in like a negative PR position where they go, no, we're disappointed in their decision, blah, blah, blah. They shouldn't put their safety first, put us first. I think that'd be a pretty bad look. Okay.
Do we know what happens? Do we know what happens to their salaries?
You don't get paid.
They forego.
You don't play.
Yeah, I figured.
In the NHL, that gets even more interesting, though, right? Because, like, you can't fine the player for not showing up, but they're not making any money for the playoffs, so they're really just, like, not doing their part. But it is a sticky situation, though.
Oh, yeah. It's a mess.
Speaking of PR spins, I'll bring this up with you guys because you're football fans. Cam Newton to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Hilarious. But the
Poor
one thing...
Jared Stidham.
Yeah. No kidding. But the one thing I noticed, so... Cam Newton to the Patriots gets leaked or whatever. It's all the talk. And then an hour later, you see the little note. Penalties come down for Patriots' recent cheating scandal. And it's like, okay, were they signing Cam Newton because they think he's going to be a good quarterback? Probably. Was there a part of their ownership group that probably went...
Huge smoke screen.
Right?
Nice
Like,
timing.
You're probably sitting there going, okay, COVID times, there's nothing going on. When it gets announced what our penalties are, we're going to be leading off every sports center, every talk show host, all of it.
When it gets announced what we did, like the fact that they've gone back to the well again, they have to be the biggest cheaters of all time, because it seems like it was everywhere, right?
Yeah,
they got caught filming the Cincinnati Bengals practice, and I don't know what their penalty was. I didn't quite notice it, but if they absolutely signed Cam Newton, and it became the bigger story as opposed to another cheating scandal by the Patriots, which is amazing to think. Like, they were going to get hammered, and it was going to be all weekend. And in this time, it could be like cancel Bill Belichick. Like, I do know that they're not going to be allowed to film film crews are not going to be allowed around anywhere that are with the Patriots. But yeah, man, that would have been the biggest shitstorm. The fact of the matter is, it's a great move. Cam Newton to that franchise and giving him an opportunity to work his way back into the league. Like, he can't be. He's got to be just absolutely jacked that he's going to the one place where he could succeed very, very quickly.
I can't see how that's not a home run move. That's like such a Belichick move. Like, to get someone who's kind of maybe hit a rough patch, I guess, if you will, career wise, or had a bad season, to like go into the Belichick dojo and just come out a winner.
Yeah,
and back to form.
It's a classic Belichick move here. Patriots, by the way, fined $1.1 million, and the league took away a third-round pick in next year's draft from them. I watch First Take with Stephen A. and Max Kellerman every morning now. It's part of my morning routine. I think those guys are wildly entertaining. They know how to crank up the debates when they need to. It's a great show. But if there wasn't the Cam Newton signing, what would have led off today's show, and it probably would have been the first hour, was Patriots cheating scandal, looking back through their history, talking about if the punishments are enough. Does this diminish their dynasty? Blah, blah, blah. Instead, the first graphic was Cam Newton. Does this make the Patriots Super Bowl contenders? And I just think so many people are caught up talking about how, the signing and all that, but not enough people are talking about the fact that I think it was just a big old PR smokescreen. They probably had this move in their back pocket for a month. Like, what would have changed in the last 4 weeks that would have been like, oh, we need Newton now?
All you have to say is bravo.
Yeah.
I know. I saw my favorite headline, which was just camouflage with Cam and Cavaliers. Like, it's just beautiful. Everybody sees right through it. But the fact is, I don't know. Do you think guys like Stephen A. Smith and them, do you think they want to talk about another cheating scandal with the Patriots? Does it always have to be like after all what went through the Astros? There's documents right now that are being fought over heavily. That the New York Yankees do not want opened up.
Yeah.
About things that were investigated on them. And I just think like, I don't know, people don't probably want to do any more of these negative stories, man. It's just like all the time, every day. Like there's a lot of negative stories I'm seeing about just people's pasts again. Two people that are huge right now under investigation by Joe Public, Bill Simmons from The Ringer, and Barstool Sports. Like, it's just everywhere, and it's constant. And I don't know. Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith, they can pretty much argue about everything, but I think they're probably happy that this camouflage came up, because they didn't have to talk about it.
Probably. I mean, you'd rather be talking about actual football than like videotaping, and like even the question of why did the Patriots need to film the league worst Cincinnati Bengals? Like, they would have beaten them.
Because it was just ingrained in them. That's how fucking funny this is. Yeah. It's like we cheat so much, we're going to do it to the Jets and to the Bengals. Like, the fuck is wrong with you guys?
If they're willing to cheat against the Bengals, then it just tells you what more they're willing to do against the good teams.
Yeah,
they got spies everywhere.
100%. Yeah, it just goes back to the whole, like, it's like they're addicts, man. They need to get their fix. They don't care how they get it. If they can figure out how to hack into the signs of whatever, the Bengals or whatever plays they're calling, they'll do it because they're hooked on it. I thought that was hilarious. I wanted to bring that up because I had the two football guys on the pod. Before we keep rolling, there's one more thing I want to touch on, but need to give some more love to the folks at Japa Machinery. Give them a call, 780-962-5272. Number one sponsor of the pod. And there's also Oodle Noodle. Do we have a charity update on the nudes?
Yes, this week we are partnered with the Edmonton Down Syndrome Society. We were there on Friday shooting a video, so that'll be coming out hopefully later today. It's just finishing editing. So super cool charity, great people behind it. Got to hang out with them a bit on Friday when we shot the video. So super pumped to be working with them. So come check out Oodle Noodle this week and support another great Edmonton charity.
There you go. Check them out, Oodle Noodle, on all the social medias. They have good noodle-related memes as well, or green onion cake memes as well. Canada Day on Wednesday. Also, don't forget to pick up your limited edition Canada Day cans of Nation beer. They got the cool red and white design going on them. Last thing I wanted to touch on, guys, 4 years ago today. And you know what? It was actually right around this time. It was between 12 and 2. I don't know the exact time on it, but the Oilers traded Taylor Hall to the New Jersey Devils for Adam Larson. It was the first of a flurry of moves that also saw PK Subban go to Nashville for Shea Weber and Steven Stamkos re-up with the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Hall for Larson move. Do you guys remember your initial thoughts when you saw it?
Yes.
Do you want to share what your initial thoughts were when you saw it?
Pure joy.
We just gave away a great player for somebody I don't really know.
No, pure joy.
Yeah, you and Wanya are big Taylor Hall fans. So, like, looking back on that move 4 years later, you still think like they won that trade?
Well, it's tough to argue to say if they won. What's winning?
Getting the better player, having the better outcomes.
But
I believe they won the trade because Taylor Hall's already been moved again. So
he's been moved again. Yes, he won the heart playing for New Jersey, but once again, I'm a culture guy, and I just don't think he fits the culture. And so that's why I was happy to see him go. I hear nothing but great things about Adam Larson as a person in the room. Is he creating the same impact on the Oilers that Taylor Hall could create as an impact player? Probably not as much, but he was starting to have another good season. I wish maybe we got a pick thrown into that trade, so Chia maybe didn't do the best job, but I was still happy with the trade nonetheless.
Yeah, actually, it still does blow my mind that that's all they got for a guy like Taylor Hall. But I like the culture thing and all that. You're never going to hear the end of it. Oilers fans, I mean, if we're doing this podcast 30 years from today, I'll probably sit here and go, 34 years ago, the Oilers traded Taylor Hall. And then we'll talk about culture, and we'll do that whole song and dance again. Except we might be able to sit there and be like, well, the Oilers won a couple cups after, so yeah, I'd say it was worth it. The other move in there was the PK Subban for Shea Weber one. And that is the one, whenever someone floats out the question of, have you ever been so terribly wrong about something? That's what I go to. I saw that deal, and I was like, I can't believe how hard the Predators fleeced these guys. Shea Weber was coming off of playoffs where he looked slow. He was hurt. He was an aging, grizzled defenseman who I didn't think had a ton of game left. PK Subban, analytics darling, offensive D-man, skates well, was supposed to be the future of what sort of defensemen are in that mold. Great guy in the community, all that stuff. And I was really wrong because looking back on that move 4 years later, and maybe it is a culture thing or something like that, but the Habs without a doubt won that trade because Shea Weber has defied father time and continued to be a hell of a defenseman for the Habs.
He just needed to get back to health, and that was even at risk. There was a point in this season where they thought he might have to retire because of the severity of that injury, but all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, that's not the case, and he was a gun for them this season. So it's good to see him back. Yeah, it was an interesting trade. I was kind of taken back, and I was unsure because I love Shea Weber as a hockey player, so I was kind of that's a big deal, but I understood the trade and I understood why Nashville would do it. That first couple seasons, you're like, oh yeah, Nashville, genius. But now, Montreal's proven to look like the smarter people because now PK is not even with the Preds anymore.
Yeah, they flipped him for a handful of draft picks, and that ended up being a bit of a disappointing tenure for him in Nashville. Although they did make that one Stanley Cup final, so. They had some runs. Yeah, they had some really good runs in there. That's it for my topics. You guys got anything before I tease our guest for Thursday?
Not really. Not really. I heard today that they were going to make a Forrest Gump 2, and I got pretty disappointed finding out how good it was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so funny because it's just one of these random things I listen to. And then all of a sudden the guy starts talking about how he in Forrest Gump 2, he's going to reinvent the wave and he invented the wave, that he was in the back of OJ's Bronco, all this stuff. Because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. Did you know, here's a fun fact about Forrest Gump 1. You know, the speech at the rally was basically the writer was supposed to come up with the most inspiring thing ever, and the director hated it. He couldn't write anything inspiring. So the director said, let's try something funny. So he wrote something that wasn't funny. The director hated it. So he got Robin Williams, John Lovitz, and Billy Crystal to write something. All of it fell flat. It did not work. And at the very last minute, the director decided to do the thing where all the mics get pulled out. And it's like a pivotal point in the movie. I think it's fantastic. And it's just, I always like how situations like that come up. I love stories about how things are made, and like that up until the day that they were filming that scene, they did not know how that scene was going to go. They didn't know if it was going to be an inspiring speech, a funny speech, and it ended up being either. I thought it was great. So
I'd never heard that story. That's interesting.
Yeah. And the second thing is, have you guys seen this race that's been going around from back in the day when Wayne Gretzky raced Bjorn Borg, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Pele?
Yeah,
soccer stars
dominated
in a 100-meter race.
Really?
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky beats them by 20 yards.
Yeah.
In 20 meters in a 100-meter dash. Just dusts these guys. I couldn't believe it.
I have not seen this.
You've
They
never
were all
seen
wearing
it?
the short shorts from the 80s.
Check it out. Oh, he just dusts them.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. And the outfits, they're all wearing matching outfits, and they're all wearing short
Super
shorts.
high shorts.
Gretzky,
Oh, yeah.
Gretzky's the only one out there that doesn't look like an athlete straight up, and he just kills them.
Yeah, he does look the most awkward to start. And then
He's so skinny.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious.
Oh, man. Yeah, he just, right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
No doubt.
Away,
Like,
and about
Usain
halfway,
Bolt.
he pulls away, too.
How old would he have been compared to those guys, though, like, at that point? Like, how old would Pele have been in this?
Well, Bjorn, I think they're all probably like 10 to 15 years his senior at that point. And he's probably, I don't even know what year it was, but I'm imagining it's late 80s, like 86, 87, 88, somewhere around there. But
even just getting out of the gate, like he's one stride in, and this guy on the close side of the screen, just Google Wayne Gretzky race, and it's one of the first things that pops up. This guy's like not even out of the box, and Gretzky is like bang, 2 steps ahead of him already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
Fascinating.
So I love, that's one of the reasons I love Twitter. I saw this race and I just was like, that's something I'd never seen before. I wouldn't even think it would be a thing, you know?
So in 2020, would that be Connor McDavid, Alphonso Davies,
like
name? The
Floyd
boxer.
Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather, and
then a
Novak
soccer star
Djokovic?
like, Novak, yeah, Novak seen Djokovic.
Novak.
Did you
I
hear
wonder what that would look
Did
like. I know. What's that?
you hear what Novak Djokovic did? This smart guy?
He threw a giant tennis tournament after party and gave everyone COVID.
Historically
What an idiot.
an anti-vaxxer and throws a charity volunteer event. Somebody comes in with it and everybody gets it.
And this guy said he wasn't going to play the U.S. Open this year because there were too many safety restrictions. Like, he's just a fucking whack job, man.
I've always struggled to like him. I'm a Roger Federer guy.
So funny. So am I. And I never liked Djokovic because of just the way he acted on the court. Then the 60 Minutes piece on him changed me. I was like, okay, I get it. This guy's like a hard worker. You got to have that kind of swagger if you're going to be the best in the world. And then this comes up and it's just like, fuck, can you not get out of your own way for 5 fucking minutes? Like, Jesus.
Oh, and you know what? There were probably people out there. I mean, obviously, people attended the tournament. People went to the party. Like, fuck, man. Some people. It's the world of tennis is flipped upside down right now because the voice of reason is Nick Kyrgios, who is usually the exact opposite.
That guy reminds me of
We are in
JR.
the upside down. We are in the upside down. He reminds you of who?
You.
What?
I don't know why. Because I don't know why. He just, when I think of him, I think of you as a tennis pro.
I take such offense because that guy is not a good human.
He is what? He doesn't do anything that's super offside. He just yells at people on the court.
And
no, he says offside shit all the time.
Nick Kyrgios is a professional tennis player who fucking hates playing professional tennis. Like, that dude, I think, would rather be doing I think he said that before, too. He's come out and been like, listen, I don't like this shit, but I'm good at it, and it pays well. Like, he treats that thing like a job.
Last year, I went to the U.S. Open, and I went to one full day of matches, and there's 2 huge Arthur Ashe Stadium and then the other one.
Yeah.
And he was playing on a secondary court, and it was the busiest court there when he was playing. Everybody wanted to see him.
Yeah, they want to see him snap. What's he going to say next?
And that was when I saw Bianca in like a little secondary court. Like, there's 4 courts in a row,
Yeah.
and nobody can stand in between the courts, but you can stand all the way around all 4 of them. And I stood like front row, probably like 30 feet from her as she played her first round match. It was fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Unreal.
And my boy Shapovalov was like 2 courts down, so yeah, it was awesome. But I'm like Kyrgios. Hey, listen, his act sold because he's the most popular, and not even like I think he made it to like the second round.
Yeah, he never wins. Like he never goes on like insanely deep runs, but he is a very talked about player. We should talk more tennis on the podcast.
I love watching tennis. I was so into the U.S. Open, and you know what's funny? The hotel that I was staying at had a bunch of tennis players staying at it. None of the big guys, but you could just tell it was like, you know, a lot of the players stayed there, and fuck, it was awesome. There's constantly U.S. Open vehicles coming to pick people up, and they'd walk down with like all their tennis. They'd be in their full tennis outfits, like with their bag of rackets ready to go. Oh man, what an environment! If anybody's ever, and we were trying to decide, the tickets are not cheap, and we were trying to decide if that was going to be a full day. You got to drive all the way out to like Citi Field where the Mets play, which is kind of far away. You got to get on the train. It was the best thing we did while we were there. If you ever are going to New York during the U.S. Open, go to the damn tournament. It was one of the best days we've had.
All right, that's gonna do it for another episode of the pod. On Thursday, I can say this now because I think it's 100%. I think it's 100%.
We're batting 500 on announcing guests, so let's just go for it. Flip the coin.
Chris Seeger, he plays guitar for a Canadian heavy metal band. They're from Edmonton, actually. Striker. They're pretty big on the heavy metal scene. They have a new album out now as well. He is also a big Oilers fan, so we'll chat with him about some metal music and things like that. I want some help from the listeners here. If anyone is listening and is big into heavy metal, can you send us some question ideas? What should we be asking Chris Seeger? What do you want to know? Because I will be the first one to admit this is going to be a learning experience for me because I'm not super big into heavy metal. So if you got anything you want us to ask Chris about, feel free, hit us up on social media. Or if you just have like basic heavy metal facts and you want to educate me a bit, email me, tyler@oilersnation.com. Jay Chalmers, thanks for giving me an hour and pulling through 52 minutes with just the 3 of us. I'm proud.
Yeah, well done, boys.
Good job. I want to know if he likes Steel Panther. What he thinks of Steel Panther. And anybody out there that's listening, go check out Steel Panther before Thursday.
Oh,
they're amazing.
Steel Panther's legit, yeah.
Sounds good. I'll talk to everyone on Thursday. Episode 192 of the Real Life Podcast is over.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.